Welcome to Titan HST's Business Continuity Today, hosted by Todd DeVoe, where planning meets reality.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are at in this fine nation. My name is Todd DeVoe. I'm Director of Emergency Management at Titan HST, and I also teach at the post-secondary level, where I love to research and learn new things and share what I learned with you. And today, though, we're talking about the Great American Shakeout, or the Great Shakeout, if you will. The Great American Shakeout, or the Great Shakeout, was started as a way for people to participate in an earthquake drill in Southern California, or in California, and it really went along with some of the work that was being done with Dr. Lucy Jones over at Caltech with an earthquake scenario that started on the San Andreas Fault and would rip through into Los Angeles and what that would entail. But it's moved, it's expanded. And this year, the Great American Shakeout is on October 20th at 10:20 a.m. And you can participate anywhere in the world that you're at on that day. Or if you want to do it later on, you can do it later on as well. And it's a really great program. A lot of great resources on shakeout.org. Whether it's infographics, whether it's just ways to handle the drill, you register over there. A lot of information will be shared with you. And there's like some really neat and cool ways to engage your organization as a wide drill. And so whether you are in California or if you're in Maine, this exercise, excuse me, is really great, right? In the name, Great American Shakeout, or the Great Shakeout. And, so there's all those resources. But the cool part about it is if you do it on October 20th at 10:20, you're participating with everybody else who are participating in the country. And I've seen this happen really well at schools and colleges and universities where the entire school uses it as its drill. I've seen organizations across the country use it as their annual drill, right? And all the way up to the CEO's level, where when at 10:20, when that word comes out that the Great Shakeout is occurring, they duck, cover, and hold on underneath their desk to show the leadership that they are ready, right? The rest of the group is ready. The entire organization is ready to respond to and get to survive an earthquake. Now, today we're talking about this as something that's abstract, right? Last night, there was an earthquake in Mexico, and it's on the anniversary of two other earthquakes that happened in Mexico as well. And every year, the whole city, Mexico City, does their version of the Great Shakeout, where they evacuate, they hold a moment of silence when they're out there, and then they go back into their buildings and do this every year. And so they're prepared. So went from thousands of people dying, right, on the first Mexico City earthquake in 85, I believe it was, to when they had one 2 years ago, it was like 300 people that perished. Still too many, but what the difference is, and that became because people prepared and ready to respond to that earthquake. I've been participating in the Great American Shakeout for many years now, and each year I try to do something with Mark Bentian from USC, from the SCEC. And this year we are doing a webinar with him on the second Tuesday, which is October 11th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And you can find that information on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Instagram and Twitter. I forgot. And so we'll be sending information regarding this to sign up to participate in that webinar, to learn more information on how you can really make your organization more prepared for disasters, more prepared for earthquake. But if you're prepared for earthquake using the all hazard approach, you'll be prepared for all of them. And as National Preparedness Month comes to an end, right, this doesn't mean that your end of preparedness should stop, right? It means that you should be taking the lessons that are learned throughout this month. And if you've seen anything on social media, you've seen like the 30 ways to prepare, 30 days, 30 ways. You've seen all the sort of preparedness information coming out from whether it's from FEMA, Titan HST has put out some great information regarding preparedness. Take those lessons that we pushed out this month, right, and apply them across your organization for the rest of the year. Because at the end of the day, if we are not practicing, we're going to forget, right? And so we need to keep this in the forefront. I know that we've talked about this 100 times or maybe more, but you take a look at Amanda Ripley's book, The Unthinkable, right? And read through that and find the great information on how people that are prepared and thinking about that survive these events. Right, those that don't think about it, those that keep it out of their mind, that even if you're on an airplane and you read that little flyer, the escape flyer on the back of your book or in the back of your chair, right? That gives you more preparedness, mental capacity to happen if a plane crash or an emergency landing happens compared to those that don't. Those that read it survive. Those that don't, well, the survival rate goes down. So this is what we're doing, right? With the idea here of the Great Shakeout is getting people in that mindset to where they are ready to react when an earthquake occurs. I told this story plenty of times, and I'm going to tell it again, that my son, when he was about, I think it was like 11 years old or so, we had an earthquake at my house. It was not a very big one. I mean, it was probably for most people out there that aren't in California if they think it's big, but it was like a 5.8. But it felt like the epicenter was really close to my home. It felt like it was underneath my house. And my son at that time, I had my daughter who was young. He grabs her. She's like 2. Grabs her, pulls her underneath the table with him, and he ducked, covered, and held on. And that was because he's learned this through elementary school till today, right? And so I think it's a really good example of how we can ingrain this into people's minds, that it isn't something that they have to think about, but they can react and do it. And it's just like driving, right? When we first started driving, it was a little weird getting onto the freeway and merging in, putting our blinker on, doing all these things at the same time. And if you've been driving for more than a few years, it now becomes second nature. You know how to look in your mirrors and turn your blinker on. Let's make preparedness for earthquakes the same way. Let's make it something that isn't something that we have to think about, that when the shaking occurs, that we know to duck, cover, and hold on, right, under to something that's sturdy, or get against a wall if there isn't anything that's sturdy for you to get under, and practice that, right, and at least do the once a year in October for the Great Shakeout and practice. Now, again, join us on October 11th at 11 a.m. Pacific time for the conversation that we're going to have with Mark Benthian from the Great Shakeout, right? And he's the guy who's in charge of this. He's putting this information out. His group is doing great work. And I think you don't want to miss that, because this is an opportunity for you to ask questions, right, to engage and to learn more about how you can participate in the Great Shakeout, right? How you can have your organization prepared and ready to go. Hey, everybody, I really do appreciate you being here with me this morning. And the idea here, what we want to share, is information that is going to keep your organization prepared and ready. On the other side of this, right, with the Great Shakeout, is also being able to communicate. That's where Titan HST comes in, because our communication products are so easy to use that even when you're under stress, you'll be able to communicate with your organization and let them know what is going on. So until next time, everybody, stay safe and stay hydrated.